Hey everybody, um, gluing up tires for Motorama here, and I've been asked this a bunch of times before, and I said I was always going to make a video about it, but I never did, so figured now is a good opportunity to try it. Yeah, so we're gluing up sprinters for Motorama, and I just wanted to run through the process here. I punched 2 holes in with my Harbor Freight tire punch, which is using the 9/64 hole. What I like to do is, it's hard to tell with a black wheel, but you can kind of see there. So the hole in the wheel is actually 90 degrees out from the hole in the tire. No rhyme or reason of doing that, really, just, I guess, looks, and my OCD kicked in to do it that way. Sprinters, so this is a spec tire for the event. Got to use the gray foam that comes inside of it without modification. I like using the JC wheels. Again, I've had kind of the best luck with these JC wheels fitting the tire good, and it doesn't matter really what brand it is. JC wheel on an AKA, JC wheel on a Pro line. Kind of just works out where the JC wheel mold seems to fit the best, from what I could tell. Yeah, obviously dyed in black. Yeah, was all yellow for a while, and I still got a bunch of yellow wheels that I'm going to be running on tires that are already glued up, but figured gonna make a change here in a little while on my paint scheme, kind of get to a more traditional looking oval track car. Oval track cars have black wheels, or at least the best looking ones do, I think. So I've already glued up. I'm gluing up 2 sets, so 8 tires here. I've already glued up 7 of them. I always start with the back side of it because that gives you the, I guess I want to say, the most room for error, but that's not really the correct way of putting it. It gets you more practice, and the inside of the tire doesn't necessarily mean as much, especially when you're doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get started here. The glue that I use, this is just hobby store craft glue. Basically, Hobby Lobby has their brand of glue. It comes in a 1-ounce bottle, I believe, and this is a combination of thin and medium glue. And I'm using I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm using a pretty decent size needle on my bottle here. The combination of thin and medium, I keep wanting to say thin and thick, thin and medium glue kind of gives you a little bit more working time. I was just using some Loctite CA glue, not the gel kind. You don't want the gel kind for this. But that stuff is really thin, so basically once you apply it to your bead and you glue your bead to the wheel, it's stuck where it is. This gives you a little bit more working time. So what I like to do prior to starting is I'll kind of pull my wheel up like this just to make sure that the bead is kind of consistently set. And then I'll push it down just to kind of give myself a little bit of relief, so that way I know the tire's even. And then we'll start, and you'll see what I'm going to go for is, as I'm trying to glue here, I'm going to try and glue to the sidewall bead as well as underneath. And you'll see when I do that, I'm going to put a lot of glue in there, and some glue is going to squish out, and I kind of want to see a consistent amount of squish out. My thought process in doing that was when this tire blows up under acceleration and kind of pizza cutters out, if I have just the sidewall bead glued here, who knows what's going on with the inside bead, and what kind of pressure changes that makes, pressure force on the ground is going on with that wheel. So this gives you a little bit more glue, and also if you end up just gluing here and a little bit of glue runs down, and then maybe down here you get a nice consistent bead just on the sidewall, well, now there's some imbalance with the glue, and as that tire grows under acceleration, well, maybe it doesn't grow as much here versus down here. Again, I might be overthinking that, but it seems to be working out okay, and it's providing me the most consistency. And what you're trying to do in all of oval racing, or all of racing, I should say, is do these processes and do them consistently. Don't make a bunch of changes because, you know, if I glue this tire different one way and this tire is glued, you know, another way, well, then you're gonna have you could have issues. If you build a diff one way and you build it different the next time, you could have issues. Shock, setup, whatever. Just try and make it consistent. Yeah, if I end up doing more videos, I'm going to preach consistency in a lot of it. But let's get started gluing the wheel. Again, my combination of thin and medium glue kind of gives you a little bit of working time. I've set the bead to where I like it, and I'm just going to start. And I'm kind of OCD. I always end up starting, you know, around about here, just past my vent hole. Oh, that's another comment I want to make. I always vent the inside. The reason why I vent the inside is if I ever want to rotate tires, I don't have a vent hole on the outside. If you don't ever plan on rotating tires, what I'd say is a good idea is to always vent, for oval racing, always vent the left side of the wheel. That's if you don't intend to rotate tires. I rotate tires based on wear. Yes, people say these are directional tires. I don't know. I haven't had enough experience, or let me rephrase that. I haven't been able to ABA it where the V on a sprinter is going forward, then the V on the sprinter is going this way, and then back to kind of see consistently with the same track, the same tire. Can't you do the same tire because they break in a different way, but you kind of get what I'm trying to say. I haven't had enough opportunity to try that, but what I will say is that these tires do need to break in a bit. So as long as you break them in and they're broken in the correct direction, then they should be fine, regardless of how this V is pointing. So, all right, off our tangent, back to where we started gluing these wheels together. I'm just gonna get my glue, make sure my needle's cleaned out, and what I'm doing is I'm pushing down and pulling out. Some people just pull out, but I'm gonna push down because I want to get inside there. So I'm gonna get all of this glued. And again, because I'm using the mixture of thin and medium glue, I have some working time where if I don't get it set right, you know, it'll be fine. I got plenty of time to kind of go back and make changes. Get you guys in frame here. Hopefully I wasn't talking out of frame too much. Get all the way around. Oops. Try not to get any on the outside of the wheel. Not a big deal, but just want to make it look nice. And again, you can kind of see the amount of glue that I'm putting down. The only time I want these wheels to come unglued is if I ask to turn them off the wheel. Okay, so I went all the way around. You can kind of see that there's a decent amount of glue coming out. Might not pick up on camera, but there's glue coming out all the way around. So I'm going to pull the wheel up like this. Grab my band. Make sure my band is set where I want it. In this case, you know, like I said, I pulled this wheel up, so I'm just trying to get the band over the glue bead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle or my glue bottle, just kind of can run it down around the wheel like this, picking up any excess glue. Get yourself a blue rag and try and wipe away all the excess. And what you want to be careful of when you do this is you don't want to drag glue onto the sidewall. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but again, we're trying to just glue the tire to the wheel. We're not trying to glue the sidewall, because that could be that could change how the tire sidewall reacts. All right, so once we have it glued up, because I'm using the combination of the thin and medium glue, it's going to take a minute to set. I like using Zip Kicker. Yeah, my brother hooked me onto this. I didn't use Zip Kicker before, but he kind of made me a believer, especially when you got to glue up tires in 10 minutes right before a race and throw them out there. So what I do is I just spray the bead, let it flash off, grab a rag, and wipe out all the excess. Whoops. Then I'll set it to the side. We got a glued wheel, our bead's on, our band is on, we Zip Kickered it, and we'll set it off to the side. Basically, since I'm gluing 8 tires, you know, these are my 8 tires that I've glued up. I started with the left front. Once I get down to my 8th tire, because of the Zip Kicker and the glue and all that, yeah, by the time I get done with this process, I'm ready to flip and start gluing the other side of the other wheel. Once you get done, just make sure that, you know, if you're using a bottle like this, that your needle, kind of want to do that. Make sure that the glue is all out of the needle. You know, if it's on the outside, it's okay. You can get an X-Acto and scrape it off. Some comments that I'm probably going to get are, oh, you have to use the brand of glue that are for the tire. You don't. CA glue is CA glue from what I found. Doesn't matter. Like I said, I was using Loctite stuff before. I've used the tire brand glue that you can get, you know, from Maine or whatever. I've used AKA, TLR or Losi, I guess, makes the glue. It's all cyanoacrylate glue. You just want to make sure that you get a glue that when you buy it off the shelf, if you're buying thin CA glue, move the bottle around and make sure that it's thin. Make sure that it's medium. Make sure that it's thick. You know, if you buy a bottle of thin CA glue and you move it around in the package and it looks like honey, you know, obviously put that one at the back or set it off to the side, because that one's no good. Stuff sits on the shelf for months. You don't know how long it's been there, so it's just something to be mindful when you're buying glue off the shelf. It's another reason why I don't like buying glue from Maine or online or anything. You can't check it. So do yourself a favor, just kind of be mindful of that when you go looking in the store for glue. And then the last thing is, oh, you know, you shouldn't take this Zip Kicker and spray it directly on the wheel. It's gonna eat the tire. Well, as long as you spray it on there, let it flash off for a second or two, and then wipe it off, it should be fine. We haven't had any issues of it. We've been doing this for years. I see people that, you know, they'll put the tire there, you have a piece of Tupperware, they'll spray the Zip Kicker in the Tupperware and then put the Tupperware on top of it and let the fumes kind of evaporate. That works fine if that's what you want to do. You know, I've got to wipe it or anything. Yeah, I mean, that works fine. But again, spraying directly on the wheel and tire, as long as you wipe it off, you're fine. Yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown of how I glue my tires. Again, Not saying it's the right way or the only way, but it's how I do it. And, you know, I haven't had a glue job since I've been doing it this way fail me yet. So hopefully this helps you guys. And, you know, don't be afraid to ask me questions. I'm not the most outgoing guy at the racetrack, but I mean, if you come up to me or we're talking by the side of the track, you know, don't be afraid to ask a question. I'll answer any of them that you got. Always looking to help. So thanks guys, and we'll catch you at the track.